That mic. There we go. You can hear me now?
Sir.
All right, cool. I just got the notification on my phone. Let's see. Turn the volume up a little on my end here. All right. All right. I am Andrew Cox. I am here with Brandon Lee. He is the owner of, but more than that, more than that, he is a great man, great friend, family, and I think we're gonna get into kind of an interesting conversation on his life here. So,
And
uh,
don't forget, I'm
so did you say an advocate?
an avid advocate.
Yeah, yeah, right. For sure. And we can touch on that. That's a little bit on Nate's side too, right? He's been doing some good things on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I've been kind of following on that one. So that's pretty cool. So, anyway, if you could, I know I kind of introduced you a little bit, but maybe introduce yourself, let people know where they can find you, things like that.
So my name is Brandon Lee. My last name is Edie, but I go by Brandon Lee, more like a moniker. People easily recognize that name, and it is actually my name. So Brandon Lee is what I go by. You can find me on Facebook at that moniker. Most of my posting is done under Vigilant MMA. We have the Vigilant MMA Facebook page, the Vigilant MMA Instagram, and the Vigilant MMA YouTube channel. We're going to be catching up with all of you uh, younger folks and getting the getting the TikTok going. I'm finally going to jump on that ship. I fought it for as long as I could, but you know, I'm just going to have to go ahead and fold on that one and join. Hopefully, I don't see what my kids are doing on there. I'd rather avoid it if all possible. Let's see. I own and operate Vigilant MMA. I have installed myself specifically as the matchmaker and event coordinator, and I have brought in a number of great people like Drew to help me run and
Thanks, man.
business. And I'm very thankful for that because I certainly could not do it on my own, nor was I successful trying to do it on my own early on. So it's very thankful that I brought good people around. I'm a father of two. I have two daughters, one in New Jersey, one down here in Florida. They are one's about to be 18 in less than a month, and the other one is 16, going to be 17 here at the end of the year.
Man, that's a lot of man there, dude. just
And
just
sadly,
saying.
that's only the tip of the iceberg, bro. There's a whole
Yeah,
lot.
I know. And just saying, man, that TikTok thing, man. When I started, I think it was Instagram when I first started that. I came across my kid's page, and they came across mine or whatever, and they immediately blocked me like so fast, which I actually was like, fine. I have not pushed back on that because it is what it is, and yeah, I'm not too
One,
too keen on seeing it. But then, um, that was at first, but then now my daughter's a tattoo artist, and my son's into cars and stuff like that. So we're kind of friends on Instagram now. So I will say this though, man, just like Instagram, you gotta be careful. The TikTok algorithm will really start pushing that crap, dude. If you look at anything that's opposed to what you like, and try and comment like, man, that's stupid or anything like that, all of a sudden it's just gonna get flooded, dude. Flooded. That algorithm is pretty crappy.
well, I mean, they've said that the TikTok algorithm for China is very, is great. It's perfect for the kids and for the youth education wise, and for the rest of the world, it's just trash. So that's one of the reasons I've avoided it for so long. I didn't want to support or have anything to do with that. Um, you know, I don't know about you, but my daughters both tell me that, oh, Dad, I never look at text messages. I don't even know what that is. That's so ancient. I don't use it. Okay, so then I went ahead and downloaded Snapchat. Both my daughters blocked me immediately. Make
Yeah,
make it make sense, please.
yeah. To be I can't. Um, kids, man, these days, dude. They
Need an ass whipping. That's what they need. A
they
violent
do. There we go. That's awesome. Sorry. Yeah, they do. They definitely. I think that the days of old when you know is gone. So this is. I was listening to some person. I can't remember if it was like a comedian or something, man. But he was talking about, or even like a podcaster, but he was talking about the and I guess it's a little hyperbole, if that's the right word. Hyperbole, where it's not when you say, "Man, if I do something like that, oh, I can't do that. My mom will kill me." It's like she won't literally kill you, but man, the fear of God was in you back when. My mom, she'd put a spoon across my face. She'd be stirring up. This is a legit memory or a thing that happened. I was in the apartment in Las Vegas, and she was stirring up some macaroni and cheese. And we used to not. She hated cussing, so I would say the th instead of the f for "fuck you," right? And boy, she would freak. Okay, so I was like, "Fuck you, mom." And she comes across that, dude. It was so fast. She comes across the kitchen into the living room, whop, spoon across that, still steaming. Like there's steam coming from my face from the spoon hitting it. So
Was that wood
yeah, man.
or metal?
What's that? I think it was wooden.
Yeah, I've caught the wooden spoon.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, my mom, she'll deny that these days. That never happened. But, buddy, I remember what that wooden spoon tasted like when it
Uh,
caught Peter.
sure. Yeah, hey, dude, my grandma, she had I think hers was a spoon too, man.
Grandmas, they like to switch. They like to send you out to the yard to get the switch. And if you brought back in too small of a switch, well, then Nana would go out there and grab a tree branch.
Beat you with a rod.
Yeah. Now my daughter just gets, instead of 150 a week, she gets 100 a week if she gets punished.
Yeah, man, that's ridiculous, dude. I seen this video too, man. It's like it was like tongue in cheek. It was just jokes, man. But it was about gentle parenting, and this boy was on the floor of like Home Depot or something. And he's like, "No, I don't want to go." And she's like laying on the floor with him, like, "Oh, your feelings are so valid. I just want to validate your feelings here. And is there anything that I could do for you?" Or it was such a actual hit though of what, that's so true, that might have been funny for them and it was a joke video, but that shit's for real. you know
Bro, I can hear my dad's belt coming off of his waist, the way the buckle would sound for us trying to make a scene in a store, for wanting a piece of candy or wanting a 25-cent action figurine that wasn't on the list. And we start acting a fool because we're not getting it. Oh,
yeah.
I can still hear the belt loops, you know what I mean, of that belt circling off. And you knew, oh, you done fucked up now. You're about to pay.
You done did it.
Yep.
If I had a dad, I think I would remember the same thing. But I didn't have that in my life. My mom had to be that.
Had to handle
uh,
both.
yeah, yeah. So, well, speaking of all of that, dad in life, mom in life, things like this, where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in passing. My mom was passing through from Arizona over to Alabama. Um, Went through a lot early on. Not really
Well,
good.
hold on though, just real quick. I don't mean to interrupt. So she's passing, she's like
Literally,
going,
the move.
lived in Arizona, moving
Mhm.
to Alabama.
Yep. And on the way, Brandon decided to pop out in Dallas, Texas. So we had to.
Why was she moving to Alabama?
My the sperm donor was apparently a pretty violent individual,
Oh shit, yeah.
and to get away from him, my mom and my grandparents moved to Alabama, to the middle of nowhere, to get away from him, and he still tracked us down. And
Damn.
yep, in Alabama, and my granddad had to run him off with a shotgun, and that's really all the last I ever really knew of that guy. Um, my adopted dad raised me as his own, treated me as his own my whole life. My stepdad also raised me after my mom and my adopted dad divorced, and both of them put a lot of effort into me, um, into keeping me on the right path. I was always an angry kid. I was always in trouble. Uh, Dan, was it that?
No, shut up. Go ahead, please, please, please.
It's all good. I'm just saying I was always in trouble. I was always having to switch schools. I always had a chip on my shoulder, being smaller, growing up in Alabama, being Latino. You get picked on a lot. There's barely any other Hispanic people growing up. Um, it was a different circumstance, but like my family up there, we've remained close. Um, my first cousins are basically my brothers. I've grown up with them, and we've stayed in close contact. You know, my dad recently passed away. My adopted father recently passed away, beginning of last year. So it's been almost a year. Getting accustomed to that. I used to talk to my adopted father every day, good or bad. We would have some type of conversation. So it's been kind of difficult adjusting to that. But one thing about me is I've been knocked down too many times to count, and my crippled ass is still here kicking. So I have not let any of the horrendous things that have happened in my life break me. They broke me down. They've forced me to reevaluate and readjust and do things differently. But I'm not going to let anything, even breaking my neck, losing my father. I just recently lost my dog. My dog was murdered right in front of me. And I'm still dealing with the repercussions of that. It's very hard because before my injury, I was a very violent person. If anybody did wrong or to any of my friends or family, they would get a violent visit from a very angry little tato. And the fact that I can't respond that way to a lot of people that just try the fuck out of me is very frustrating. But it has created a resurgence in me to want to get back into rehab, to want to get back into repairing my body, because there are just some people out here that, for lack of a better way of telling it, I need to give them a free dental treatment, and I'm not going to be able to do that in my crippled state. So I'm just going to continue to work on myself in my physical form, in my form, to regain as much of my physical abilities as I can, because I feel like some people need a little dental adjustment, and I'd like to be the one to provide that for them.
So, yeah, I agree with that actually, quite a bit. Um, when you say your dad passed, your adopted dad, just curious on what did he pass from? Was it all of a sudden? Was this a long? Was it known?
It was age. He chose. My dad chose not to take care of himself. My dad did refuse to work out, refused to exercise. I lived up there with him for a time in my 20s. I don't really want to go into that too much, but I lived up there with him for a time, and I tried so hard to get him into physicality. I tried so hard to get him out into the front yard, because we had a huge yard out in the country, to just walk around, to just get mobile. And I just could never get my dad to be mobile. I mean, I started boxing when I was up there with him, and I had like 29 boxing matches, and he never came to see one. I don't know. I just couldn't get it. He didn't like violence. He didn't like the physicality of it. He hated to see me come home with my face busted up. But, you know, I just couldn't get my dad to do much. And, bad eating habits, no physicality, that shit will add up, bro. And look at what they're feeding us, Now,
God, dude.
finally, we got somebody in there like Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to start cleaning this bullshit up. But, bro, they've been feeding us poison for 30, 40 years. Our whole lives, Drew, we've been eating bags of poison. So I think that my dad eating cheeseburgers and Cheetos for, 55 years caught up to him. and it was really difficult watching him go downhill and watching him break. I hope I don't break down right now, but my dad made me promise that if he ever went downhill, I would take him out, and I wouldn't, he wouldn't have to suffer, and we wouldn't see him suffer. And I know he was really mad at me that I wouldn't do that for him there at the end, but just couldn't do that to my dad.
I I couldn't imagine the type of pressure that puts on, you know, your your son to, like, even for him to ask something like that has got to be, that's got to be hard. But for a son to hear it, um, man, that's heavy, dude. Like the way that's really fucking heavy. I don't think I could have either. I really don't. I guess to kind of touch on at least, hopefully not so much of a future of mine to come, but my the only person that's been consistent in and out of my life has been Dave, and I call him my dad. And he's straight because of his dad was, my grandpa was laid up in a bed for like I think 7 years. You can hear him moaning down the hallway. He could never get out of the bed. He couldn't talk. But my grandma took care of him the entire time. And he said he just didn't want anything like that, no tubes like that. He said just let him go. Is what my dad said. And every time he says that, man, I just sit there and I think, dude, if you can't, I'm sorry to say, man, but if you can't make that decision, it ain't gonna be me making it either, dude. I'm gonna keep you around the entire time. I'm gonna have to wipe your ass for you. I can't let you go. I just can't do it like that. As much as it might sound selfish, which maybe it is, but I think also him wanting to die quickly might be a little selfish. We're supposed to kind of put ourselves through, some things, sometimes pain, sometimes terrible things for our children. And I think that might be one of them, man. You just keep pushing through.
Well,
So
for my dad, it was that he saw his father, my grandfather, wither away. My grandfather was a World War II hero. He was on a ship that was sunk in Pearl Harbor, and he survived. He was one of like 8 guys on the whole ship, and
for real.
he was up there on one of those 50 cals, shooting those MFers down, that day.
Yeah, yeah,
And his
yeah.
ship got completely sunk by kamikazes, and he was one of 8 people to survive. And when my grandfather got out of the military, this just tells you the Edie mindset that we have. Um, when he got out of the military, they offered him 100% disability, 100%. He declined it.
He didn't want none of that shit.
He said, I can walk just fine. Somebody else that needs it more, give it to them. Now we know the government doesn't do that,
No,
but
of course not.
when he went downhill, as he got into his elderly years, and he went downhill, and we started my family started needing help, come in a caretaker, a person to help. My grandmother goes down to the military and asks for help, and they're like, ma'am, we've had help waiting here for 40 years. You've got back pay, tons of thousands. So she ended up getting a nice, good chunk of money. There ended up being help. It ended up being actually, a kind of a blessing, but it just shows you the the Edie mentality of, nah, we'll figure it out. We're good.
That's the lost mentality of man, of men, not man, but men, like of men.
Of real
We
men, of real
Yeah,
men.
yeah, right. Solid, fucking steel made forged, like steel forged men. Those though that type of person that was literally made, forged out of steel in the womb, and you push out this fucking man statue, dude. Like, it just, where is that mentality these days, man? It's so fucking gone. I was watching this debate, man. This little bitch, dude. He was such a fucking pansy. And one of the things I can't really listen to is when people talk, when they start talking like this, and then they're going like that, and then they gotta go like this and then that. And then, like, they start doing, it's like this, and he's fucking ticka 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 ticka. It's like, motherfucker, how much Adderall did you take? before you came on here and did this, you know? And it's just, and he's like, oh, I'm secure in my masculinity. He said, with this, I'm secure in my masculinity is like how he sounded. Like, yeah, I bet you are, man. I bet you are, dude. While you bend over too, I'm sure you
Right.
are.
Right. Eek. Yeah, I think I would take 100 of like my grandfather against a one silverback gorilla.
Ah, what the hell is this question? You even got it.
Now listen,
This is the new version. Hey, this is the new version of Bear Man in the Woods. Like this is a small, but it's a for everybody instead of for the women. This is like an everybody should answer. What do you think is gonna, dude? You know what though? Look, I'll say this: if anybody had a chance, it would be men like that. Okay,
correct.
but
They
there's no fucking way.
right,
One, people keep thinking they're like, oh well, it's 100 men. Well, do you know how it's so cluttered. You can't get 100 people on one thing at once. That's
right,
not how shit works. You
right.
know, space and mass and things like that. It just doesn't fucking work that like that.
100 UFC fighters, bro. 100 UFC champions. They still ain't gonna win, bro. All right.
Nah, the
I watched an interview with George St. Pierre. Right. George St. Pierre was out in the Congo doing some like live stuff. Had a bunch of researchers there. They had a group, and a big ass silverback alpha gorilla comes running up through the woods into their encampment, and everyone jumps behind George St. Pierre. you know and he said he could see the muscle definition under the hair, and he said the silverback very quickly ascertained that he was the alpha of their group, so it came stomping right up to him fast, and like he just froze. He said, I didn't breathe, I didn't move, in his French accent. And he said, I just stood there frozen. And the silverback gorilla got, right here in his face, realized that he was no threat whatsoever, turned around and set his back, the gorilla's back, to George St. Pierre, and then sat down and just kept looking over his shoulder. And eventually, because they never moved, the silverback just got up and trotted off back into the woods. And the other people that were there told him, said that is the most massive form of disrespect in the gorilla community, because the gorilla basically walked up and looked at him and was like, you're nothing. Turned around and sat down and was like, here's my back. Take me. Go for it. See what happens.
try it.
Now, if a gorilla in the wild does that to George St. Pierre, I'm taking that silverback against 500 men, because
Right.
they're just going to rip arms off and beat people to death with them.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I mean? They
yeah,
throw
yeah.
trees, bro. They throw fucking trees
Dude,
in the woods.
I watched a documentary when I was a kid in school about um um what the fuck was the monkey that bit the chick's face, man? The one that Michael Jackson had. What type
Bubbles.
of monkey? Yeah, but what type of monkey is that?
Oh, fuck. Chimpanzee?
Chimpanzee. Thank you, man. Thank you. So I was watching. They showed this documentary about chimpanzees. And did you know they're carnivores? Right? They'll eat each other. Yeah.
Fuck.
So there was this a female one did something. I can't remember what she did. But they did not like that. And so they all barreled down on her and they ripped her to pieces. Like they ripped her to pieces and they ate her. Now you have to be now this is the chimps they're built like me almost. Like they're
Right.
skinny.
Yeah.
But their muscle density, the bone density, everything is way different. They're fucking strong. They're like quadruple our strength compared, like size to size. So somebody like me, dude, it would be really, really hard for me to rip a person's arm off of their body, like really fucking hard. But they're just doing it, and that's a chimp. Now think of a gorilla. Okay, there's no way that he's not ripping you to pieces.
Yeah, bro.
And then yes, using the body parts to beat you probably. Why
They
not?
have the strength in their hands to crush the human skull. So they would just literally walk up, crush your fucking skull, and move to the next one. I mean,
Right.
it's one of the things on the internet, bro, that gets us talking, but in reality, it's just a fucking waste of breath.
Yeah, true. It really is. It really is. So in the spirit of that, back to it.
Moving on.
Uh when when you said that watching him kind of waste away. Same with him watching his dad waste away. Is this maybe the inspiration, one of the major inspirations of why you're back at the gym, back into the grind of trying to get to the top of your game?
So it's multifaceted.
Right.
It's that is definitely a component of it because here I am a year and change later, still trying to process, my father passing. My last memories of him are pretty tough. Me disabled, and my cousin Zachary, both of us, grown men now, but my dad raised us both, and we were having to move him in and out of the shower butt naked with his belly sticking out. We were having to get him on and off the toilet, wipe his butt, do all this stuff, and he's just telling us, "Toss me off the back porch, get it done." So it was hard. I don't want my kids or anybody that knows me to watch me go down like that. When I die, I want it to be, I hate to say it, but in a blaze of glory, and I'm not going to let myself just wither away. And I have caught myself, if I'm being real with myself, I caught myself following in my dad's footsteps. I had a very tough relationship. My last girlfriend, sorry, my nose itch. My last girlfriend I had was about 5 years ago, and
Kicking it. Fine.
she had a an addiction that I was not aware of when I brought her into my life. And when I uncovered her addiction, I helped her to kick it. I helped her to get clean, and I helped her to clean up her life. Maybe one day she'll see this video and she'll remember Kayla, all the shit I did for her. But that relationship didn't end up panning out, and unfortunately, I kind of went all in. In a poker term, I had went all in with it. I had moved my daughter back in with us. I had moved her son all in on this relationship working, but it did. And everything finally came to an end, all out struggle, too much to go into. But when it finally all came to an end, I really kind of just gave up on myself. Um, I kept running my business. My business has gotten increasingly better over time. I've continued working a job. I've continued bringing in side money with side hustles and Uber and my baseball cards and my cryptocurrencies. And now I'm a 10% business called Celebration Station, where we rent out bounce houses and water slides and things like that.
When
So
did you do this?
just got this going in the last month or two. We haven't even spoken on it yet.
Yeah,
But
you haven't told me shit about that.
well, I mean, it's all still in infancy. We just got we just got appointment set up, our first reservation set up. So it gives me a chance to use a lot of the Vigilant equipment twice, because otherwise it just sits in storage. So I have
Right.
tables, chairs, barricades, things like that we can add to accentuate, these events and stuff. Um, but I saw myself following in my dad's footsteps, and I really was thinking about how bad I saw my dad get at the end, and how I don't want my kids to ever see me like that, for any reason. And so I was already starting to move around more. I have a nice vibration plate. My good friend Bill and his wife Audrey donated that to me before they both passed away up in Alabama when I was in rehab.
Yeah,
And
that thing's intense.
yeah, man, I still use that. I use it every day, sometimes a couple of times a day, but that's just really just a precursor. And I was letting that get the ball rolling, get me back into the ring of things, back into the tune. But what really did it for me, man, there was two events. The day before Christmas, December 24th of last year, my now ex roommate and I were going through a lot of beef, a lot of back and forth shit, and he liked to attack my disability, pick on me about my disability, talk shit, put me in bad positions in the house regarding my disability. It was a fucked up situation. And so me and the other roommate told him he had to go, and he had been making some threats, and I had a 150-pound service dog here with me, and with the threats that he had been making, I had my dog loose in the house with me, and my dog did not like him. My dog liked most people, especially once she was introduced. But even after she was properly professionally introduced to him, she still didn't like him. And so he showed up one day at the door on not one day, December 24th. And as soon as I heard his foot hit the door, my dog got up in her stance. You know, I'm looking, waiting to see. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. The door doesn't open. And then all of a sudden, the door cracks open and he sticks a 45 in my door, points it at me and my dog, and says, "If the dog comes at me, I'm shooting it." And I'm like, "Bro, let me put the dog away. Bro, let me put the dog away." Ready to deal with whatever fuckery he was going to pull on me. I was going to put my dog away and deal with it. Because what's he going to do? Beat me up? Motherfucker, I'm a fighter. Beat me up, bro. I don't care. So he never gives me the chance. I said, "Let me put the dog away. Let me put the dog away." And he just holds the gun up. The dog charges at him barking and he shoots my dog in the face right in front of me and kills my fucking dog. The cops did nothing. Fuck the police, by the way. Pasco County Sheriff's Office.
Just to be clear, too, he never fully entered the house,
He
correct? Or
my
right.
house.
He
Stuck a gun
reached the gun through the fucking crack of the door.
through the crack of the door, bro. Didn't even
So
make
could have easily drew his
all
hand
he had
back and shut the
to door.
door.
That's all he
Super
had
fucking easy.
to issue. Instead, he murders my dog. My dog collapses in front of the door, still trying to protect me from this piece of shit. His name's Mike Pangburn, by the way. Anybody wants to go to Pangburn Methods on Google and give that piece of shit a terrible review, please do it. Please do it. That's the only thing he has in life left in his pathetic little existence. He has a piece of shit car that's not even in his name. He has nowhere to live. He's probably bumming off people's couches. All he has is his little Google 5-star rating. So anybody out there, Pangburn Methods, shoot that shit up. But he could have easily just left
As
that.
in the Google reviews. Shoot.
Yeah, his little
That's
Google.
bad. Go ahead. Just
But
wanted to be clear for TOS on, you
yeah,
know.
well, he could have easily left, man. There could have been no issue, nothing. Instead, he murders my dog. My dog collapses in the doorway, and then this faggot has the audacity. Sorry, the words come out sometimes. Sorry. Uh, this scumbag has the audacity to come around through the garage, enter through my garage, come up to where I'm sitting in my chair, and threaten me at gunpoint and tell me that I owe him money for the dinners
What the?
that he cooked. That he cooked dinners at the house, and I owe him money for those dinners that he cooked. And as soon as he realizes that I have picked up the phone and dialed 911 and it's on speaker, because I mean, I can't get physical with anybody, I'm freaking paralyzed. So as soon as he realizes that, he grabs the gun and runs out the door. So the cops get here, they find my dog dying, still trying to breathe and fight through life, a gun shell casing by the door, and no perpetrator. And somehow, months later, I get a letter from the state attorney's office saying that they have done a thorough investigation and they've decided not to press any charges.
Yeah, you actually didn't tell me the end result of that either until just now. I didn't know that it was all resolved into fucking nothing.
Nothing, bro. Well, you're one of the only people I'm telling, bro. I've been holding it inside because I have such fire, fury, hate, rage, anger. I mean, you heard I just dropped a stupid F bomb because
I know, man,
I,
YouTube. That is not reflective of the view of the channel, just saying. Anyway,
I,
go
I
ahead.
can't help it, bro. And I have so much worse things in my head to say,
Oh, of course.
and
I know, man.
I can to keep it as calm as I can because,
Yeah. Fuck that fucking guy anyway.
well, I mean, if I see a random person hurt a random dog, chances are I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna hit him with
Yeah,
my,
absolutely.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean. But to do it to
Yeah.
my dog, it is just, I don't know, man. It's something I'm never gonna get over. I'm never gonna get past. And now it's one of the things that really drives me every day to get physical, to get out here, to exercise, to stretch, to lift weights. I ground myself every day. I get out here in the grass outside my condo with my bare feet. I ground, and I'm just gonna keep stacking and stacking until one day I can take this right here and put it down Mike Pangburn's fucking face. And I hope you hear and read and see this, Mike, because buddy, I have cracked a lot of faces, bro. It's a lot of teeth marks in there, buddy. And I got a spot just for you, dog. Just for
Let
you.
me let me say one on that, at least my opinion to it. If anybody can do that, it is gonna be you. If anybody can push through that The doctors told you you were never going to move from neck down.
Yeah,
And
bro.
there you are. You walk, you drive, you do all this shit. Everything they said you weren't going to do. And it was because you said you were, and it was through your determination.
Uh, and,
So,
and bro, I got to give it the glory to God, bro. The glory to God.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm gonna tell you, we can talk about that at some point, man. I had a very divine moment with the Creator that really allowed for all of this because I wasn't moving anything. I was laying in a hospital bed. So just so everybody knows, July 6th, 2011, I was in a single car crash. I had just agreed to my final kickboxing bout. I was going to do another tournament that I had won the year before, and I had agreed to do it once again. And then I had my pro boxing debut lined up. But unfortunately, on July 6th, 2011, right after the 4th of July, I was in a single car crash from my ex girlfriend's psycho behavior, and it left me quadriplegic. I'm paralyzed from the neck down. I am not throwing up gang signs.
Sorry.
This is the hand movement that I got. It ain't much. I make the fingers work as best I can, but to get up, to sit down, to stand up, everything is a struggle. To get in and out of my car is a struggle. To get in and out of the store is a struggle. To go to the bathroom is a struggle. But I learned a long time ago, with my name being Brandon Lee, I've always embraced Bruce Lee since I was a child. And he has a very famous saying: do not pray for the easy life. Pray for the ability to endure the difficult one. Because most of us, 98% of us, ain't going to have no easy life. We're going to have a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of challenges in childhood, in the teenage years, and throughout adulthood. Do you think I ever thought at 31 years old I'd break my neck and never be able to run again? No.
You were invincible.
I thought I was invincible.
Right.
Thought
Right.
I was invincible, and boy, that was I found out the fallacy of that idea.
That's that's a really rough background, man, and for the determination of somebody being diagnosed never to walk again, and literally saying "fuck you, fuck that, I'm going to," and here you are. I think that I'd said it before. It's an inspiration to, I think, all people, period, in this world. You don't even have to be going through a similar struggle. I just think struggle in general, I hate to be like saying that you have it worse than a lot, but dude, I think that you could have, we'll say that you could have had it a lot worse than others, but you refused that destiny. That future was not in your deck of cards. You were not going to have that. You were going to come up, aces. And you're doing, man, fantastically in my opinion. I know sometimes you've told me that you struggle with feeling as if you're weak, but I actually think that you're one of the strongest men I know, period, in life ever. Um, Solely on the fact of, not solely, but big factor of, because you were told you were never going to do something, and you pushed your body so far to the limit that what it's isn't it less than 1% come back from that injury?
Well, less than 1% stand up.
Yeah, so
Less than 1% stand up out of the wheelchair. I think one of my proudest moments was when I was in Orlando. I was at a place called Project Walk Orlando. Shout out Project Walk. Now it's called Next Step Orlando. Um, One of my proudest moments was my third time going there, because I did nothing but rehab after my injury. My injury was July 2011. I moved back to Tampa September 2018. So for 7 years, all I did was travel around and go to rehab to get myself back to this point. And one of my proudest moments being at Project Walk, was when I was able to stand up on my own, first of all, and then I picked my wheelchair up and put it up over my head. And I have a picture of that. They have a picture of that up on their wall of fame.
I want that fucking picture. Brandon, I would have made that the thumbnail. Fuck
Not
yeah.
a lot of people, bro. Not a lot of people have done that, man. And I was definitely proud. And it's not like I'm not gonna sit here and say it was me, bro. It was God put it in me, and then I was so fortunate to have accrued assets and money and things that we could sell prior, after my injury, and then to fund a lot of this rehab because I did not have health insurance, and so everything I had to do rehab wise was cash, and everything being cash is more expensive. So we went through $300,000 in 7 years, just in rehabs, and that was my money plus all the money that was donated, the fundraisers that we did. So it's probably closer to 500,000 if you think about it.
That's
So I mean, it's not and brag on myself. I can't do that because without each and every person that contributed financially, my now deceased father and my aunt who would drive me back and forth when I lived in Alabama. It was an hour one way from their house to the rehab center, and then they would drop me off, drive home, and then at the end of the day, they would drive an hour back to the rehab center, pick me up, an hour home. So 4 hours a day in the car, 5 days a week. My,
jeez.
my elderly father and my elderly aunt would drag me back and forth. So without them, I wouldn't be here. My mother and my stepfather, when I was going to the rehab centers here in Tampa, when I would come in and out of town, whenever I needed anything, you know what I'm saying? They were there for me. So I was only one part of this. There was a lot of people that contributed to getting me to where I'm at physically.
I hear you and I understand that. I do think you you're very humble in in that endeavor, okay, or that feat of life, but you have to give it up to yourself, man, on the extraordinary strength, push, and determination for the physicality of it, for you to push through and get that to, or get yourself to a point where you can lift a chair over your head. um yes, it could take support, but it doesn't always have to take support in your group. Now, what I'm saying is, I think it's very important what Brandon's trying to at least relay, and correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Strength most definitely comes from within, and definitely comes from God. It can come from a community that you build yourself, or you build around yourself with good, great, fantastic people. Sometimes you don't have that, and sometimes all you do have is God and that determination. And I think that maybe it wouldn't have been the ideal situation. Maybe it would have taken a little longer than 7 years. But I believe that the strength that you had to do that, you still had with or without people. And this is the inspiration that I want people to see and to understand, that yes, through others' help, you were able to get there quickly, but I think you would have done it anyway. You are who you are, and the support around you doesn't always affect the outcome of your will, of your physical push through. You know what I mean? Yes, it'll help you like want to get that energy and do it, but it all starts with you. So
Oh yes, no,
give it to
100%.
yourself, man. You and I agree, hands down, God, absolutely. And I think so. I do kind of want to get into that part of, at least before the injury. I did that last time, man.
I'll pull it back up. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
There we go. I had to put it on the charger before she died.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. It's
Trying to
okay.
balance her out here. Let's see. There we go.
All right. Uh, the type of person that Brandon was before the accident, because I've heard you talk to me at least about the pullback that you think maybe God was kind of trying to throw at you, being how aggressive you kind of were in your life. You were always willing to put somebody in their place if need be. uh you've done some things in your past, maybe somewhat gang activity, right? If you didn't have this injury, do you think that that path would have continued on? And do you think that this is the thing that humbled you, pulled you back, and threw you into a life of salvation and God and finding your faith again?
Well, I mean, the short answer is yes, for sure. I recently had a long conversation with my mother, which we have not done that we had not done that in quite some time. And her and my stepfather apparently really have come to the resolution that this saved my life. Because before I broke my neck, I was a, if I, in the simplest of way, a violent criminal. I did a lot of criminalistic things. I had a lot of criminal endeavors going on. I did some things right. I graduated from college. I had a good job. I had beautiful children.
College
On
for what?
business. I went originally for med school, but that didn't last very long, and then switched it to toga parties and business. But on the face of it, I was doing everything right. If you just met me in the street, I usually wore a suit and tie. I had a job as a mortgage broker, beautiful kids, nice house on the water, drove a Lincoln Navigator. You wouldn't have really known. But then there was the other side of me that was always out at night, always getting in problems, always in fights, guns, knives, bats, chains, jumping, getting jumped, just I lived a raucous life. And I don't think that was ever going to end. I tried really hard to change my ways when my kids started coming around, but problems just always found me. I mean, I got jumped at the Tampa Bay Mall with my daughter. I had to push my 4-year-old daughter into Old Navy and just shove her stroller into Old Navy and turn around and fight a bunch of people.
That's
I was
insane.
a magnet for problems, man, and I attracted it to myself, if I'm being honest, because I always walked around looking for problems, staring people in the eyes, wishing a motherfucker would, you know, and I don't know if that was ever going to come to an end. I know that when my parents went to go clean out my house, when I was laying in the hospital, they saw a lot of things they didn't want to see. They came across a lot of stuff that they probably wish they had never seen. And I
Well,
think
real
that
quick, just that wish a motherfucker would attitude. Do you think that your fighting career was emboldening that? Was like, act,
no, no, no.
act
It actually, my fighting career in martial arts toned a lot of that down. It really
Love
reeled
that
me
answer.
in.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bro. It reeled me in. It got me to where the last few 4 or 5 years, I really didn't get into many fist fights because I was training actively. I was out here competing. So there wasn't a need for me to go prove myself in the streets anymore because I was just like, dude, come on, bro. Dude, you're drunk. You're at the bar. Take a swing. Whoop. Okay. Are you feel better now, buddy?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
dodged that real easy. You know, it definitely changed me in that regard because I only wanted to fight in the ring against people that were trained. Once you start that path and you start fighting people that are trained, and you see the technicality and like the viciousness of it, I craved more of that. I didn't want to be out just one punch dropping idiots in bars and fighting people in parking lots anymore. I stopped doing all that crap because there was no point. You know, so it definitely it changed me for the better, but I don't think I was ever going to get completely out. Some of my friends would kill me for bringing this up, but like we had an illegal poker house going. I was involved in some other things that we had going in and out of state. It just, I was doing not good things, man. And I always questioned to God. I would ask God late at night, or like if I had been up for multiple days in a row, and I'd be like, God, what do you have planned for me? I know this isn't it. I know that I'm not supposed to be sitting here in this dope hole selling drugs with these other criminals when we've all got guns, and you know what I mean? Like this, I know this isn't the life for me, but I could never figure it out for myself. I could never be man enough to walk away from it all, and I don't think I was ever going to. So I truly believe that this injury happened so that I didn't spend the rest of my life in prison or dead. And funny enough, right after my injury, three of my top producers, I'll say, their house got raided, and they all have done many years when that house got
Dropped
raided.
out right on time.
And I was literally in the process of moving in with these guys. There was a fourth roommate, a fourth room, and that person had moved out, and I was in the process of getting ready to move in with them.
Bye-bye.
I would have been right there with them.
Yep.
And it turns out that fourth person that moved out was the rat that set everybody up. He moved out so that the cops could move in.
What a dirty bitch.
Dirty bastard, bro. Dirty bastard. But that's why I started my foundation. I started the Brandon Lee Foundation. And the first thing that I did was I started working in the juvenile justice system here in Pinellas and Hillsborough County here in Florida. And my program was called Past That Life, because I wasted 15 years of my life from 16 to 31 trying to prove to everybody that I was about that life. I'm about that life. That was our slogan in my day, you know. And what you were saying, what I was saying was that I am about the criminal life. That's the longer, elongated version of what you're saying. You cover it with little code words. I'm about that life. But what you're saying is I'm with the criminal life.
Yeah, it tries to make it sound like it's a cool thing.
Like
When
it's a
really
cool
like
thing.
I'm a dirty fucking asshole, and anything illegal I'll do, and don't trust me because I'll fucking take.
Correct. But when you're a thug or you're a wannabe thug and you're a criminal, you think that it's so cool. And so I started this program at the juvenile justice system called Past That Life, where I was working really hard with a lot of teenagers to teach them that there is so much beyond the criminal life, and that I had been discovering all these things, and I wanted to make them aware of it. And it worked really good for a while, all the way up until COVID. I mentored almost 100 young men. It was like 84, 83 young men that I mentored throughout that process. I've kept up with a few of them. I've even trained some of them when they got out of jail. I told them that they could come to my martial arts school and train for free for a year, as long as they were being productive, as long as they were helping mom at home, as long as they were looking for a job or going to school, then they could come and train for free. And I've mentored a bunch of these kids. I've still got a few of them in my life now. So I think that two of the things, major things that came about from this tragic injury is that it got me out of the criminal life. And I mean, it got me out because this is so everybody out there, learn from this. While I was laying in my hospital bed, I finally got my hands on my cell phone about 3 weeks after my injury. And I had somebody pull up my cameras from my house. And 3 of my best friends robbed my fucking house. And they didn't just rob it once. They came back twice because they didn't get enough the first time. They came back and went through my clothes, stole all my shoes, my nice belts. It was insane. And the worst part is that these 3 motherfucking douchebags, they sprayed my cameras outside the house, right, with black spray paint.
But you had an inside too.
I had inside cameras that nobody knew about. So these idiots came inside and lifted their masks up, so I saw their faces, talked a bunch of shit about me, talked about banging my ex-girlfriends and all this. And these were 3 people that I thought were 3 of my realest A1 day ones. So it just let me know right then I had to cut everybody from the street off. So if there's anybody out there watching this and you wonder, man, why did Brandon stop talking to me? Because I cut everybody off.
All that shit.
If I can't trust 3 of my closest, realest niggas, then I'm not trusting nobody, bro.
Dropping the slurs.
Oh no. I have a pass, buddy. I've been using
I know.
It
doesn't matter.
6th grade, so
it's okay. It's okay. Just YouTube, it doesn't matter anyway. But anyway, it's okay.
Me and one of my sisters argue about that all the time because I hate to tell you, but it's been in my vocabulary since 5th grade. So it ain't.
If we're gonna touch on it, just because we're touching on it, you're Hispanic, correct?
Correct. I am Mexican, and then that's like my half. My sperm donor that I never met was apparently a full-blooded Mexican, and then the other half of me is Irish, the German that fled, not the other kind.
Yeah, Right.
We'll leave that word out. I caught myself on
Right.
that one.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Caught
Those,
myself on
you're
that one.
just dropping them left and right. But just on that, I think most people understand that Mexicans always, for some reason, man, they get that pass. They don't know what it is. They always
Well,
have, man.
when you spend the
Vegas.
amount of time that I did with nefarious individuals, and
Oh yeah.
you're in and out of jail 9 times, like my sorry ass was before my injury. I mean, that's embarrassing. I used to use that as such a badge of honor before I broke my neck. They'd be like, yo, how many times you been locked up, big dog? Oh, 3. Oh, how many times? Man, I've been locked up 9 times. I used to brag on that, bro. And it's so
Damn, dude.
yeah.
This guy's about that life.
Right. But no, this guy's a dumbass, and he
Right.
keeps getting himself in trouble with the police, and he's wasted $100,000 on bonds and lawyers over the course of all that. I mean, that's pretty stupid, pretty dumb.
So, without giving so many like juicy details, I'm sure anyway, statute of limitations are way past
Oh
of
yeah,
any
way
of that
past
type
time.
of life, and time has been served with any crimes, but try to keep it somewhat TOS. But I am curious, in the day of the criminal life of Brandon, what would that look like? And maybe when do you think that you actually realized oh shit, I'm in it. I'm doing this. Like this is my day to day. I'm fucking in this now. And just the realization of how deep you were into it before excuse me, before the acceptance of, oh, I'm about that life. It was more or less the day that hit and clicked, and it's like, well, either I'm about that life or I get out of that life. So like,
Uh,
where was that day of delineation where it's
I could
like,
tell you, I
boom?
know exactly when that was. I know exactly when that was. I went to the University of Florida when I graduated high school, which is a very hard school to get into. I managed to get into Florida on a deferred acceptance. I went to school up there. I was there originally pre med, but then very quickly fell out of that because I joined a fraternity and got all into partying, and that was really the beginning of my downfall. And after I left college and I came back home, and my parents found out that I had forged transcripts and not been going to school like I said I was, and my parents kicked me out on the street. They said, "Sorry, buddy, you stole a bunch of money. You didn't go to school. You're on your own." So I lived out in the streets. I lived in my car for a while. Started living with some friends on their couches, and then started getting into back into my trade, which I had picked up in Gainesville, which was hustling, selling drugs. And I picked that back up pretty quick. I fell right into a big group of people. Everyone started coming to me. I was the coolest thing since sliced bread. And I'll tell you exactly when I realized that I'm in this, and I better either fully commit or I better get out now. Was sitting over at a party one night, and another guy shows up, starts trying to sell what I'm selling, and
Also,
this
he's stepping on your territory
and
now. So
and
this
this
is where it is, dude. It's like, am I about to fucking piss on this dude's leg and say this is my house, or do I back down and let this dude take my business?
correct, and he had this big old tattoo across his back that said respect across his whole back, big letters, right?
So
Some
was
people,
he
some
shirtless when he was fucking in there? Like, how
Oh,
do you
oh,
know?
he walked around shirtless everywhere. He always had his shirt off. His FUBU pants, FUBU shorts were down so far you couldn't see his ankles, you know. And
Okay.
so he walked up in this party like he was the man, and started trying to tell everybody that they can come to him to get XYZ. And so I at that moment, right, everyone looked at me, and I had to either get up and be a goon right then, or tuck my tail between my legs and run. So I got up. Me and him went at it. He became, he lost on that one, and that was really the
Like you
step for me.
squared up?
Oh hell yeah, bro! I told him, hey buddy, that shit ain't rolling here. You got to take that shit down to back down to Port Tampa. That
Did
ain't
it?
rolling over here. This is my area. And he's
Did it
like,
get
man,
past
he was
words?
like, who? He was like, who are you? Nobody knows you. I was like, well, you're
Oh,
about to
except
know
for
me.
everybody in this motherfucking thing.
Well, I was like, you're about to know me. And so then, and it went downhill from there. But it was right then I knew, I got to either get in and get serious or don't. And I did, which was one of the biggest mistakes of my life, because I then, instead of spending my last of my teen years and my 20s doing something productive for my life, yeah, I still went to school. yeah, I still got jobs, and I pacified my family with this false facade of what was going on in my life, but I never was committed to it. I was never trying to grow or get better at it. I was just trying to do whatever I could to fool everyone into thinking that I was doing everything the right way, doing things right, when in fact I was over here doing everything I could the wrong way, and going in the wrong direction. And what's crazy is, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I see one of my daughters on this path, man. And I don't think she's going to be a drug dealer or anything, but she's hanging out with thugs. She's listening to the music. She's getting in a lot of backyard fights. I'm getting these videos of these backyard fights that my daughter's getting into. And if it was my son, I would still be on him, but I would probably in the back of my head be a little bit proud, that my boy stands up for himself.
There's a double standard.
But when I see my beautiful little 17-year-old daughter throwing blammers in a backyard, I just don't find anything about that, positive. So I'm trying to do everything I can to point my daughter in the right direction and to help her see herself around all the freaking pitfalls that I fell into, that I can easily help her avoid, that I can steer her around. But as we both know, 17-year-old girl ain't
Oh, they're
really
gonna
gonna
do what they want.
they ain't gonna do what they want. So I just try to passively help her as best I can, and passively give her good advice and give her good, information, and hopefully pray that she makes the right decisions. Does it keep me up at night? Yes. Is it turning me gray as a motherfucker? Yes. But
I thought you were baking earlier and you like dipped your
yeah,
face
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
flour.
No. No. Your boy is gray.
Graying out.
Graying out, bro. But I tell you, one thing I do have is I have faith in God. And it's probably the strongest attribute about me, is that I have faith in God. And I have faith that I did not survive all this shit. I did not persevere through all this shit for it not to have some type of profound, outcome. And I know that my daughter at some point is going to come around more and realize what her father has been through, what she has been through, and is going to appreciate and value her life and her existence a lot more than she is currently. She'd probably be so pissed if she knew I was talking about this, but it is what it is, man.
Dude, she'd be pissed if you were just talking, if you mentioned her anyway. Don't they all get all mad, man, when you start fucking talking about them? And it's like, oh, no, Dad, you're talking to me or talking about me on YouTube? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I will say this, through all of this crap, right? She has left private school, gone to public school, which I vehemently despise, but she has maintained decent grades.
Damn.
She's maintained decent grades, A's and B's, even in public school. Her test scores are pretty decent, and she's actually looking at joining the Air Force. So the whole family is very, very positive about that, because the Air Force are the last ones to go to war. That's where the smartest military people go. They get the most, luxurious living, comparative military wise, better food, better everything. So if she can get in the Air Force and go, I'm going to be all supportive of it, because I don't want to see her hanging out here in Tampa doing exactly what I did, which was running with bad people, getting into bad situations, and never really correcting the course, just continuing down, steamrolling down that path until
Yeah, it's
this
too
happened.
late. Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. And just a shameless plug to the Air Force thing here. I have a Forged in Fire champion who's a really good friend of mine named Casey Cleveland, Cleveland Knives, and he is in the Air Force currently as well. Very good friend of mine. Intelligent man. All that you say there about it being, like the
The picks of the
more
litter.
sophisticated side of the military.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, I don't think that there's too much to argue on that, being that all the drones and there's so much technical, there's just technology on that side. That's all that they really deal with is technology, pretty much. So, yeah, you need the best and brightest over there. So, yeah. But anyway, that interview's coming up on the 16th, maybe. I can't remember. I have
with
that.
him?
So if you guys see the thumbnail there for the Casey Cleveland one, check that out and set the reminder and the notification. Don't forget to like and subscribe too. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm over here prepping for the day.
I see. Yeah, I see. So that kind of what you were just saying kind of helps me transition into where I was wanting to, I guess, kind of end it or get to the ending of the of this conversation, which is really in the effects of all of this, your life, what's happened to you, and now the things that you're trying to do in life, the business, any of the interactions, friendships, family, all this. What impact are you hoping to make to here go a little bit on the backside of this. Do you believe that the social pressures that are being put on your daughter, which I think is what is maybe leading her astray to these things, do you think that society is heading to in a good direction or a bad direction?
I think we're rebounding. I think
Or you
society.
think the pendulum might be swinging
I think
back a
the
little
pendulum
bit?
is swinging. I see. We have decay of society from about the late '80s, early '90s, just in pretty much a steady decline. But I think we have either bottomed out or we're close to bottoming out because I see so many young people waking up to the propaganda and the brainwashing that is flooded our country through social media, through mainstream media, and I see a lot of people waking up. You know, I'm not a Republican. I was a lifelong Democrat. Obama ran me off from the Democrat Party, and I have maintained myself as an independent. Now, I know people go, "Oh, well, you can't vote in primaries because of that." I don't care. I don't care. I will be there when the shit matters. I'll be voting when the shit matters, and I will be making sure to make my voice be heard. Um, and I'm pretty public on my social media about it too, and that affects me. It affects my reach. I'm shadow banned. Most of my accounts are shadow banned. But you know what? the I feel like it's more of a wrong for me not to speak up on certain things and not to put it out there for other people to see that there are real Americans that aren't afraid to stand up for what's right. This Kilmar Abrego Garcia scumbag from Maryland, he deserves to be in that El Salvadorian gulag, and he deserves to have other gang members looking for him.
Yeah.
That was the reason. People don't know this. The reason he was given a non-deportation order is because he's a freaking MS-13 gang member, and there were gangs back in Venezuela wanting to kill him. So they didn't want to get him deported back because of gang violence. That was the only thing withholding him from being deported already, was the fear of other gangs in El Salvador retaliating on him. His wife had multiple restraining orders. Multiple times he beat her. He was pulled over. It's all on camera. He had 8 illegal immigrants in his car, all claiming his address. Nobody had a driver's license. His driver's license was suspended. He said it was his boss's car. His boss was in prison for human trafficking at the time. But people want to talk about bringing this guy back to the country. I mean, it's absolute insanity. So I think that people like myself and many other champions here, people like you, Drew, we have to continue putting what's truth out there so that people can eventually get woken up to the
Yeah, whether we
realities of
get
what's going
shadow
on.
banned or not, which I
Right.
thought that this channel was free of my fucking troll. I guess I picked the wrong one. I didn't know I had a troll earlier on here. Like, fuck, man. This one's linked to my other ones too? Shit. I thought that this one was safe. So I might have to make a whole new one, like screen record or like repost these as not lives and shit and change up here in like a month or something. I don't know. We'll see how far it goes. But I guess I'm on a shadow ban probably channel as well, dude. These motherfuckers, man. As soon as you speak something that's true, dude, it's done. Here's a something on that one. I was talking to, or I was on TikTok, and there was this trans person, and
Shim.
she she was saying
Shim.
no. She was saying things, okay, and I was like, I said something. I'm not really that rude. I said something about God, you know, and like just whenever you're ready to come back to reality, please, you know, uh, he'll be there waiting for you. You know, I try. It's not like I didn't say that specifically, but something like that. I try not to be so copy paste, you know, that everybody hears and shit. But um, she said that she wishes that people would stop. She's a detransitioner. She was a young teen and got caught, and she says she got caught up in all the fucking lies and the bullshit, and she tried to transition to being a man, and then she found how life was getting. It got worse for her, and she fell so far into it that she felt kind of like you that day. It's either commit or leave, and she decided to fucking commit, and then it got to a point where it was a little too late, and now she's trying to detransition. Now she's telling her story, video gone. They blocked her, or they shut her live down due to fucking medical misinformation.
Because she's trying to tell the truth about transition.
Yeah, about her fucking self.
Yeah, her struggle.
Is that not amazing? But hey, a motherfucking person going through transition tells you about their journey of transitioning and all that. Fucking shared
Brave.
out algorithm pushes and promotes.
Yeah, because that's bravery, bro. That's them
Yeah,
being
it's so
brave.
brave. It's you know what, and yeah, I get, and that's bullshit. But I would say this, and anybody else would probably, most regular people would agree with this. I think it would be more brave to be caught up in the fucking lies and get hip to the truth, and then publicly show people how the lies fucked them up, and now how better the truth is. Like, look at this is what the lie does to you. Do you want this? You know, and I think that's a fucking great example of silencing the truth. That's bravery right there, dude. That's for real bravery. But that's the perfect example of silencing the truth, man. It just like it ended. The video ended due to medical misinformation. What the fuck is that, man? You
Well,
know?
I mean, look, right now, I just got another ban on Facebook. I'm like 2 weeks. I can't do anything because I posted the picture from when the FBI went in there and confiscated Elian Gonzalez. Remember
All
that?
right, be careful then. If they're taking things on that, they might. We gotta be careful with names, in dude. Fucking YouTube with this shit. All right, well, let's move a
Well,
little away.
anyways, just because I put the picture up that we
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
saw, that was in the
yeah,
cover of the newspaper with that
yeah.
guy with the goggles reaching for Elian and Elian screaming, holding his mother, right? I just put that picture, and now I'm shadow banned for that, and it's blocked, and it's there's a warning, it's graphic content and all this. I'm like, bro, the only thing I said is that Elian Gonzalez is now a structural engineer and a politician in Cuba. Good for him after what was done to him, and now I'm completely banned.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
ridiculous. So, okay, well, in moving to that with society, so the question was really, you know, is it going into a bad direction, good direction? You think that we're swinging on the pendulum back, which I kind of agree. I don't really see a lot of change yet, though, but I think that whole saying of the 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 night is darkest before the dawn. You know, I do think that we are on that verge of change, and I think that it looks very, very bad right now. And for most people, kind of on the surface, at least on our beliefs, might kind of see it and say, "Is there any change really happening?" Like we say there's change, but where is it reflecting in society? But and so part of that is where are you trying, if at all, are you trying to influence society into doing what?
so I feel like each of us has a job on a microscopic level, right? I am mentored by a tremendous man here in Tampa named Daniel Hurtado Mendoza. He's the head coach at Def War. He's the owner and operator of multiple other business endeavors in the MMA industry. He was one of my coaches before I broke my neck. And he really instilled in me many years ago a sense of responsibility on a local community level. I've always been somebody to do community service hours. Sometimes they were forced by the court, but I've always been somebody to do community service hours, even since high
Always
school.
there to help the community.
Right, right. So, I mean, can you sign for these hours, please? But
Right.
but even before the criminal activity, I did that at Jesuit high school. It was a requirement. And then after all my criminal stuff has long since been over, I love to give back to the community. I love to be involved. I was a part of the Temple Terrace Rotary Club. We did a lot of community service stuff there. They were always amazed that I would show up on my walker trying to help paint a house or trying to help clean up a yard. But, I feel like that's my duty to do it here in Tampa Bay, and to be the best community involved person that I can. I try to help, anything that we can do, any fundraisers, any public events, any in the winter time, I help a lot with gathering blankets and clothes for homeless people. Um, anything that I can do in that regard. And I feel like that is a duty of mine, because if I can do it here in Tampa, I feel like that will be infectious on my friends and my people to do it in their communities. I think people that will randomly come across me, that this has happened numerous times. They'll come across the Brandon Lee Foundation page, or they'll come across and they'll see how this dude's on a freaking walker out here painting old people's houses, and I'm doing nothing. I think that resonates with people, whether or not I ever see them, whether or not I ever speak to them. I know in my heart of hearts, because I've had people reach out to me and tell me that after seeing me, do this, do XYZ, it got them off their ass to go do something. So I feel like that's part of it. And then my other obligation is to my kids and to my friends and my family's kids. I'm like that uncle that everybody loves, because every time I get around the kids, I spend more time with the kids than the adults, because I want to mold and shape them and give them valuable information and insight that maybe they wouldn't listen to if the exact same words came from their parents. But because it's coming from cool Brandon over here with the kids table,
Yeah.
it might actually resonate. So I've always, and especially post injury, I've taken that responsibility upon myself, that no matter how shitty my day's going, no matter how sad I am about my dog, my dad, my daughter, god dang, I always can push all that to the side and put a smile on my face and try to help people. And I feel like as long as I continue to do that, people that don't have the disability, people that don't have the issues that I have, they're going to be more apt to want to do something in their community or with their kids, because they see this crippled person doing it. Hopefully it ignites that flame in more people.
I will tell you this, that you have inspired me more times than I can count on. I've called you with problems. I've had some struggles, man, and our daughters kind of go through similar things. We've had a lot of similarities in there, and I can tell you that you've pulled me out of a lot of dark questions, places of like, what do I do here? It's tough, dude. No, thank you, man. It's been a blessing to have a person like you in my life. So I can tell you, at least from the close circle, you're achieving that goal, and you very much so are, like I keep saying, an inspiration for anybody going through any type of a struggle, whether it be physical, mental, emotional. And I think that the goal of you making that shift, at least in your immediate vicinity, is being achieved big time, man. So I want you to feel accomplished, at least on that, from outside looking in. I appreciate you so much for it.
I appreciate that, bro.
So
we didn't even really talk about Vigilant this whole time.
I know, didn't we? Didn't. Well, I did tell you that. I did tell you that I wanted to get more into who Brandon was because that's I watched a couple of your interviews. Like I looked you up, man, which I know you, so it was a little weird looking you up and trying to find these interviews and hearing you talk. It's like, man, I hear him say all this. I know these things. Almost anybody who spends a little bit of time with you will know these things because it's just kind of your base, your surface you is fucking deep and strong. But when people dig into it even more, it's like, wow, the substance of you, dude, is so complex and great that they I think they miss out when we don't get to actually go a little further than the injury, a little further than Vigilant. You had a hard life growing up, and the outcome didn't look very positive, and you've completely flipped that shit on its head, man, and you live in the glory of God and in the love and admiration of your family and your friends. And I think that
Yeah,
that's
man.
an awesome thing.
I would say by my mid 20s, I was definitely destined for either a murderous outcome or a long stint in prison. Like it was coming. It was coming one way or another. And I will say this: the person that I am is a it's a mix of the influence that I got from my adopted father, my stepfather, my mother, my two grandmothers, my two grandfathers, and my aunt, because they all contributed in ways to form me into who I am. I saw the way that my mother would always defend her kids to the death against anyone, including her significant other. My adopted father, my stepfather, she would always defend her kids. So that's something about me, is that, I will defend mine or anybody else's kids in just about any situation. I'm always going to find a way to defend, the kids. And that's something me and you, we look out for kids in many, many ways, so
Yeah.
I attribute that greatly to my mother. My stepdad, my whole life, all I've ever do is see him work. That's all I've ever seen him do since he came into my life. I watched him study for the bar exam relentlessly, take the bar exam, graduate, become a lawyer, and then work his way up through that. And he's still a lawyer to this day, 40 years later. So I get my work ethic partially from him. Then I have my adopted father. My adopted father worked at Firestone for like 30 years, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 days a week, sometimes even seven. And I saw him work his whole life, never complain, never bitch, just work hard and provide for me and my brother and the rest of the family. So my work ethic comes from my dad and my stepdad, simultaneously me seeing their work ethic and them implementing that in me. Um, and I would not be at this point. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that my family and my immediate real friends gathered around me after my injury and helped propel me, to push forward, because I just wanted to give up. I mean, imagine, bro, imagine being the defending national champion 170-pound kickboxer. I won national championship in 2010. I fought 3 times in one day. I won the whole national tournament. Then the next year, now I'm paralyzed from the neck down. People are feeding me. People are wiping my butt. People are dressing me and undressing me. It was a very hard, long fall in pride and in grace. And if it hadn't been for my family to rally around me, and if it hadn't been for my divine moment with God to accentuate it, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. There would be no Vigilant MMA. We wouldn't know each other. If all of those things prior to my injury had not transpired. So it would be great for me to take all the credit, but in reality, it was my faith in God and what came about from that, and then it was the focus and the fortitude of my family and my immediate real friends that came around me. And shout out to all the punks that left me. Shout out to all the punks that were not really my friends. I see you all.
Shit fucking stopping them either.
Nope. Nope.
Y'all
And
fucking jump ship too soon, dumb fucks.
yep. It's so funny too, because people from my past, now they see Vigilant doing good.
Yeah, and they're
Hey,
trying to
bro.
trot back on.
Oh yeah. Hey, bro,
Yeah.
man, I haven't seen
Hey,
you in
man.
years, bro.
Yeah.
You can you put my name on for some
No,
tickets?
fuck you.
Yeah, bro, you out of your mind?
I will I apologize to we were getting to a kind of a good and I want to bring it right back down just because I have to ask one question. Um this was told to me to ask. So what in life is your biggest regret?
What in life is my biggest regret? Joining the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity when I went to college. I was a pre med student. I had a really good GPA at Jesuit. I had a killer SAT and ACT score. I've always been highly intelligent. And when I went to college, I was seeking acceptance so bad. My time at Jesuit was not very fun. Most of the kids didn't like me, even though I was a good athlete. Most of the kids didn't like me. I wasn't friends with hardly anybody. I didn't have hardly any friends till my junior, senior year. A lot of the cool kids like to try to pick on me. I got into multiple fights at Jesuit. I was the only kid to graduate, having been in more than one fist fight at Jesuit. And I don't know how my stepdad finagled that for me. But I didn't get acceptance my entire life. And then I get to college and all of a sudden I get offered to join fraternity after fraternity and all these people. And all of a sudden I'm this cool person. And I let that hype derail my life. I was there pre med. I should be Dr. Brandon Eady right now, like two of my other friends that went there with me from Jesuit. My boy Gene DeBetta, holler, Gino. My boy Enrique, holler, Enrique. They both went to Jesuit, both went to Florida, same time as me, but yet I'm the one that didn't make it. So if I could pin one regret, it would be joining that fraternity, because when I did join that fraternity, I lost track of what I was doing with school. I became a drug dealer. I became popular with women, and it just school became like number 4, number 5 on my list. And then before you know it, I'm out of Florida. I was hiding and still going to Santa Fe Community College and lying to my parents and everybody else about what was going on. And then I get busted for that and I'm get caught at Santa Fe. Now I'm out of the fraternity house, got to move back home, got to tell my parents that the transcripts were forged, and life really had to start all the way back at ground zero. My stepdad, I'll never forget, when he found that out and I made it back to Tampa, he opened the door, just cursed me out and slammed the door right back in my face, and that was it. And I realized at that point, oh my God, I'm 19 years old and I'm living on the streets. And I've had to build my entire life back up from there. Now, not like my parents didn't eventually work with me. My parents eventually helped me and guided me beyond that. But if I had to put it to one thing, I would say joining that fraternity in college definitely steered me off of my path greatly.
So, and just to assume that if you were to make any changes, it would obviously just be stick with where you were before moving on to the fraternity, correct?
Yeah, I mean, just I wished I had gone to college for the purpose of going to college.
Okay,
And
so maybe going to college with a different mentality would be the change.
yes, yes, because
Throw the
I had already,
acceptance part out.
yeah, I had already started like getting myself into some with some bad people, doing some bad things. I don't really want to talk about what it was, but like in high school I was doing some bad things too, that even then starting up. And then when I got to college and I kind of saw like I'm free, I don't have any parents on top of me, I can do whatever I want, I can make money however I want, and then I started seeing the draw of like, people being attracted to those that had illicit things that people wanted. So then I saw that power opportunity, that popularity opportunity, and I seized it quickly. And then I put my sole focus into that. And, here we are. Here we are, 28 years later, here I am. So I, I could very easily blame my injury and my crash on the raggedy see you next Thursday that caused it. But in reality, what got me past it and accepting it was the fact that it was my fault. That crash was my fault. It was a culmination of bad decisions and bad choices that I had made for years that led me up to that day with that woman, with that situation.
Yeah, I would think that if you were to, I think I heard an interview where you were talking about that you just kept wanting to continue on instead of, you should just cut it off earlier. You should just shut it down before it got too crazy. But you decided to do it then and there in the car, and then she's hell hath no fury that a woman
Like a
scorned.
scorned woman, boy. Let me tell you.
So
Did you hear that? You said you checked out my interviews. Did you see the Jesuit, the one I did at Jesuit High School?
no, so I had that saved. I had that saved, and I didn't get a chance to watch that one. When you're standing at the podium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
That
I
was
didn't. I
that was at
didn't
my
get to
alma
watch that
mater.
one yet. Yeah,
Yeah,
say it again.
that was at my alma mater at Jesuit High School. And
Yeah,
two cool things about that speech is that they're not big on loud clapping in the auditorium. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you can passively clap, but they really don't. It's not condoned. When I ended my speech, I got a standing ovation. The whole
That's
room,
awesome.
and you can even hear
That's
someone
awesome.
say into the microphone, "They're not supposed to clap like that." Like it was a great feeling. It was very empowering in that moment that I felt like I really reached some kids in that one.
Dude,
But
there it is. That's your purpose. I'm just saying, dude, that I've said this before, man. That's your purpose, dude, is to stand and talk to people about, persevering, pushing through and saying, fuck the box that people try to put you in. You can bust free from these things as long as you have enough determination and you put the right things in place in your life, which may include the right people, which also may include cutting out the wrong people.
absolutely, bro, absolutely. Anybody wants to look up that interview, it's really got some good information in there. I spent hours and hours building that speech and memorizing that speech. Brandon Edie, Jesuit High School. Um, Something I wanted to take from that, I didn't get the chance to tell those guys that day, but something that has always uh, molded my life. I did a book report in fifth grade on Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president, and he had a saying, something that a phrase that stuck and in history, and it stuck with me, and it has really guided my life. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with the poor souls that neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. Most people live in that gray twilight. 2 out of every 3 people just ho hum through life, work their 9 to 5, come home, have their regular life. I knew that that wasn't going to be for me. So I have always tried to, go for the gusto. Yes, sir. That's the one.
Yeah, I was trying to see if it'll focus on it so people could see it. That's the thumbnail. Go ahead though. I'm listening.
Well, no, I've always tried to reach for the stars. I've always tried to go for these glorious triumphs, even
You
though checkered by
felt
failure.
bigger. You felt bigger than working at McDonald's or pushing carts at Walmart or something like that, right? Like you felt you served your best purpose doing bigger things.
Yes, I knew that I was going to be a risk taker and that I was going to look to achieve great things in this life. Is this what I was planning or thinking of? Hell fucking no, bro.
Well, you know what they say, man, how to make God laugh.
What?
Tell God your plans.
The, yeah, that's so true. That's so
Yeah,
true.
dude. He's got
Ev-
the plan, man. I don't care what you think, you know.
yeah, every vision I had for my life, none of them was this. None of them, was what we had going on. But I will say, from all of this, after everything, all the dust settled, 7.5, 8 years after my injury, I moved back to Tampa in 2018. I started working as a assistant coach at a gym. Started getting back in touch with all the fighters that I used to know from before my injury, and I offered to be a manager for these guys for free because I wanted to help them not get ripped off, not get shitty fights.
Now, this is the birth of Vigilant.
Correct, correct. And I wanted to help them get all these things going, and in the process, build my name. Build my name out there. So I started Stay Vigilant Management, and I did that for about a year, contacting all these other promotions, matchmakers, getting an idea of what this was all about. Oh, I guess Lola is demanding to say hello.
She wants some screen time, man. Come
Oh
on.
yeah, she does. She gets it. So, but yeah, I did that for about a year, and I got to know a lot more of the backside of how the business works because I had never had any idea of it before I broke my neck. I was just a fighter. I showed up to
Sure.
weigh-ins, and then I showed
Yeah.
up to beat someone's ass, and that's it. But now I had to learn the business side of it. So I started out as a manager. Then I was offered a job as a matchmaker for another promotion. That didn't work out, even though we did get one show off, and I was able to see that it's something I could do by being just the matchmaker and kind of being like an in between that first time. I was able to see that I could do this. I could create Vigilant. And so me, my stepdad, and a couple of his law partners, we created Vigilant. That logo, my stepdad created it right there. We came up with the name Vigilant because I was big on everyone staying vigilant, so we got the name there. We had the birth of Vigilant was January 2019, and we had 3 shows take place. They were professional and amateur, MMA and boxing, and we did 3 events: Combat Quest 1, 2, and 3. After that third show, they had lost so much money that my stepdad and all his partners gave it up. They said they didn't want to do it no more. So I went
So you
around and
started pro,
we
right?
started doing pro and am. It was pro
Yeah, yeah.
am.
But starting off pro, it's expensive. So this is. Do you
Well,
think it
pro
would
it
have
was
been better
pro it
if
was
you?
pro am, meaning that
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
like 4 or 5 amateur fights and then 4 or 5 pro fights. But yes,
I got
when you have the pro side of it, it is way more expensive, way more expensive. So they did 3 shows, and then they decided they didn't want to do it anymore. So then I took it over. I got each of them to sign it over to me, and I have 100% of Vigilant. And I started with Combat Quest 4. And now, if you want to talk about not giving up and perseverance, one of the kids that I had mentored from the juvenile justice program that came and trained at my gym, that I brought aboard to work at Vigilant, he saw all the money that I collected at the weigh-ins the day before Combat Quest 4, and he came home with us after the event, and when we all fell asleep, he robbed my car, stole all the money, all my wallet, my checkbook, my paperwork for the commission, everything that I had in my camera bag was stolen, and I had to cancel that event the day of the show. So the first time I'm ever the promoter, the day of the show, I had to cancel the entire event. The people were there setting the cage up. The lighting company was there getting the lighting set up, and I had to call them all and say, "Hey, stop what you're doing. Nobody's getting paid today. Go home." It was an absolute nightmare. And then if you really want to know, that wasn't the worst thing that happened to me that day. In the midst of dealing with all of that, cops, fighters messaging me, threatening me, people telling me they're going to come and take my walker and beat me with it because of the show being canceled. In the midst of all that happening, my daughter FaceTimes me and my grandmother dies right there at home
Holy shit.
with my daughter sitting there bedside holding her now deceased hand. And my daughter is crying on FaceTime. So I had to put everything with Vigilant off to the side and be a father for about 30 minutes. I've got police there trying to get fingerprints, trying to talk to me. I've got people beeping in, threatening that they're going to come and assault me. And I'm having to sit there and keep my total focus on my daughter, on the fact that my grandmother just died, on family concerns. And I was able to circumvent all that, then get back to the police and everything. But Combat Quest 4 got completely canceled. There are still teams to this day that will not come and fight for Vigilant because on my very first show 5 years ago, someone robbed me that I trusted, and my show got canceled. And
That's
it's beyond insanity. Now,
yeah, dude.
anybody else, I've seen promoters do this. They cancel the show and they move on, and that's it. I, as a former fighter, could not let that rest. So I refinanced my house that I had bought, pulled out $30,000, paid every single vendor that was supposed to be there that day. They all got paid. Every single professional fighter got their show up money, which if you don't know what that is in MMA, you get show money and win money. So usually, let's just use round numbers. You get $500 to show up and make weight, and then you get another 500 if you win, but only if you win. So I paid each one of those pro fighters, I think it was 10 or 12 of them, their show money. So they got their show up money, even though no event happened. The amateur fighters don't get paid. So I paid each one of them 2 months of their gym. I went to each one of their coaches and said, how much does Billy pay for his monthly membership? Oh, he pays $150. I'm sending you $300 for 2 months of his gym. Here you go. I did that for every single fighter. And yet still to this day, there are multiple teams. I'll leave their names out of it. But there are multiple teams that will not send me their fighters because of Combat Quest 4. Mind you, we're on Combat Quest 41.
Justin, what's up?
Coming up June 7th in Fort Myers at the Sidney Byrne Davis Arts Center. Tickets available at vigilantmma.co.
And just one of the hardest working men for Vigilant just popped on the chat. Justin.
Hey.
What's up, man? Dude. What? Nah, you're the hardest worker, man. Shush, Anyway, that's awesome, dude. And yeah, man, that I love that venue. Great venue too.
Bro, Sidney
I
Byrne.
love you too.
I wish we could knock some walls down and make it bigger because I would never,
Sure.
we'd do it every time. But that they're always so good there, man. Stacy and all the people there, they help us with
Stacy's
everything.
Fucking rock star, dude.
Yes.
I love her. Her husband, and her kiddo, dude. Fucking awesome people.
Yep.
I will say, working with her, man, she saves the day, dude. It's an honor to know such good people. So yeah.
Yep, I tell you, man, that's been one of the best parts of Vigilant is
not a fight promoter, yeah.
Not only seeing the fighters grow and like get onto the professional level, and now we've had two people now from Vigilant make it all the way to the UFC. One of those guys is currently making some heavy waves. Shout out Charles Radke, kicking ass in the welterweight division of the UFC. And we've got about 10 plus former Vigilant champions that are now professional that are on the cusp. There are a multitude of guys that have won titles for us that are almost there. Just a couple more key victories and they're going to be there. And just to give you a sidebar, people like to say that, that I don't know what I'm doing with my promoting or with my matchmaking. I hear that, from time to time from the haters. But we have currently only 4 MMA champions on our roster right now. Yeah. Currently only 4. But let's talk about those 4. The 135-pound champion, Dante Friga, 6-0, ranked number, I think he's number 35 in the United States of America. Then at 145, we have Juan Cruz, 5-0, and he's ranked number 44 in the United States of America. Then at 170, we have Malcolm Ronan Wallace. He's 8-0.
Go Ronan!
And ranked number 1 in the United States of America.
He's
And then
my
at
he's my favorite
185,
fighter. He's my favorite fighter ever, dude. He's
and then
such a
at
badass.
185, we have bobblehead Bill Lewis, who is 6-1 and ranked number 7 in the United States of America at middleweight. So any of our 4 champions, this is for all the promoters out there. Any of our 4 champions, and there will be a few more here in June, will face any of your champions that you got out there. Let's just set a date and make it happen.
Did you
Because
say second chance?
well, Second Chance is a kickboxing Muay Thai champion,
Yeah.
and I think he's now 8-1, and he is a 4 different promotion champion. He's a champion for Vigilant. He's defended his title with us, and then he's a champion for a few other organizations. I can't remember their names. I think Rival is one of them, but a couple others. He's going for his 5th different promotional title May 10th here in Tampa.
He's such a fucking badass too, dude.
Bro, dude, incredible on the mic,
Yeah,
any style of
dude.
music, and an
Yes.
incredible fighter, an incredible human being. Bro,
Yes.
the guy's phenomenal.
Yes, he is. Good human being. Again, one of these privileges of having such great people in our lives, through the industries that we're kind of like touching on. Because I mean, you're in the fighting industry for sure, but you're also kind of touched into the music industry with Punch, which is why I was able to meet you. It was through him.
Originally. Shout out
Yeah,
Punchline 3NT.
Punchline 3 and T. He's the best rapper alive, period. So hands down. But yeah, we when I think when you come into an industry or into, I guess, a group of people, or maybe even a small community that has similar outlooks, wanting to at least the end goal being betterment. I think that when you all get together, when we all get together, you start to expand that, and you see that there are um, true, not privileges, true benefits to making sure that you keep your circle very, very restricted. You want to make sure that who you let in is somebody that's actually going to share the values that you have, receive the things that you say in a positive way, but not only that, have the ink or the gumption to want to expel that out to others, not excuse me, not just receive it. I'm tired of these people riding the pine and not actually putting in the work to make a difference in the world that they think is so shitty. It's like, well, if you think it's so shitty of a fucking world, why don't
Do
you get your
something.
ass up and do something about it? Right. And this is also where I want to go with most of my interviews. When I talk to people, is I want to say, I want to ask them, what is your impact to society? What the fuck are you going to do to make this place better, or what are you doing to make it better?
Bro,
And we got a
that should
clear
be
answer
a
for
corner.
you.
That should be a
What's up?
cornerstone of every interview.
Yes, yeah, and I don't think that we get a lot of that in the big in interviews. Like a lot of the interviews that I see, man, people aren't asking the hard questions, and it's because people don't want to answer the hard questions. Well, I'm gonna tell you this: if you don't want to answer the hard questions, don't come to me, because I'm going to ask you some hard questions. And I don't even think it's that hard of a question. Just open yourself up. If you're in a position to possibly be an inspiration or some kind of a um, focus, on social medias or even in the real world, you need to stand solid on the position that you are. People are going to look up to you, and they're going to want to know, well, what does this person feel? What does this person believe? What are they trying to do and change? And, you got a lot of these, speaking into just musicians, you got a lot of these people that put out music, and they'll say one thing, and you got two sides of the coin saying, oh, this is what he meant. No, 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 this is what he meant. No, this is what he meant. It's like, why don't you stand up and be clear on what the fuck you mean? If you want things to go better, if you want shit to stop, then I want to hear you say it. I don't want you to continue like
Imply it.
playing both sides.
Yeah.
What's up?
No, just implying it or trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah. The implications,
closet say it without
yeah,
saying it.
implications aren't enough. Be definitive. All right. I don't like the hollow words anymore. And I say this before, people with these hollow words, every time they speak, You see the words bury them. They're just sinking like quicksand in their own fucking words, right? If you're going to speak, make it foundational. I want you to stand on what you say. You have to be that man or that woman, that person that not only believes what they believe, but stands on that belief and is willing to challenge somebody's opposition. And not always in a disrespectful way, too, man. Sometimes challenging the opposition doesn't mean that you're being disrespectful. It just means we're opening up our worldviews to be explored by the other side. Do that with some kind of open mind and respect, even though the other side, in my humble opinion, which is facts, the left, the progressive, the idiots, they're fucking delusional freaks and they need to really be put in their place, and it's
Well,
hard to listen to these fucking idiots, but we have to if we want them to. So
absolutely, bro. Because if we can't have open dialogue, bro, nothing is going to ever get put back on the right course. I think, it's so funny you bring that up right now. Me and my stepfather, anytime we talk, it's usually him trashing Trump and me trying to correct his thought processes on it. And for a while, I would just get mad disrespectful. I'd be like, Dad, don't be such a fucking idiot. Don't be such a sheep, or he'd send me a message, talking shit about Trump, and I'd just go bah with a sheep.
it's funny. Yeah.
But that doesn't
That's
accomplish anything. That doesn't
right.
accomplish anything. That
No, it
actually
doesn't.
it just
Well, it made
furthers
me
the
laugh,
divide.
but no, that you're right, dude. It's not. There's no constructive conversation or dialogue.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not
there's
even
nothing.
open. You closed it. You
Right,
closed it.
right, with a disrespectful ass reply.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have seen that me and my stepfather, we've actually improved our conversation dialogue back and forth dramatically. And I have to say, primarily because of him, not me, as much as we like to, say that we're the more mature ones than the left. In this regard, it was constantly me with the quick replies of talking shit back at my stepdad before finally one day I just noticed that he changed. That instead of him, coming at me about my beliefs in Trump. Instead, he tries to choose an empathy way and remind me about the way I grew up and my Christian beliefs and me being graduate of Jesuit like him, and tries to find mutual ground to get me to see his side of it. And that has in turn made me, instead of being so disrespectful with my replies to him, I go and I say, well, hey, remember, Dad, you're a mechanical engineer. You know how to do this, this, and this. So if you understand this, I know you can understand this. You know what I mean? And then I go into da 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 da. So instead of just being abusive or disrespectful in reply, I try to go, hey, let me give you an accolade. You're a mechanical engineer. Now let's talk about XYZ. You know what I mean? So, and I think that if we can do that more as conservatives, instead of just dismissing, because I do consider myself a conservative. I'm not a Republican, but I am a conservative. The conservative beliefs of today are much more aligned with who I am and what I'm about and what I want to see this country about moving forward. Um, so, we as conservatives have got to be a little bit more open to dialogue, open to listening, and open to try to find mutual ground to build off of, because the left is going to believe that Bernie and AOC are the best thing since sliced bread, and those two commies deserve nothing but Gitmo. And then on our side, we want to see Trump through 2062. Let's see Don Jr. go twice, then let's see Ivanka go twice, then let's see fucking Barron go
Yeah.
twice. Shit, I'll even let Melania go twice. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how far
That's funny.
apart we are in our thought processes as far as the country, and that's primarily because of the mainstream media and social media lying to everyone about 90% of
Yeah.
everything.
Everyone too. Everyone.
I mean, I saw a statistic, bro. 96% of Pete Hegseth coverage is negative. 92% of that Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy is positive. So, of course, most people that watch the news think that he's just a Maryland man that has been wrongfully deported by the Trump fascists, and they're also going to believe that Pete Hegseth is an inept Department of Defense director, when in fact, bro, the guy's got a Harvard degree, went to war, couldn't be a better person in there trying to improve the Department of Defense. but because the news told them that he's a drunk and that he's giving away our nuclear secrets on signal, because the news said that, people just fervently believe that shit. So,
Well, Brandon, you know the news is always true. So
right. I was born at night, my ninja. It was not last night.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Hey, quick on that. Did your stepdad watch the debates, and how did he feel his side did?
Well, we both know that. Well, he's not a Democrat. He is a Rhino Republican. So
Ah,
he is a believer in like Rand Paul, Mitch McConnell, all those swamp creatures that have been there for 37 years and have been pilfering our money and going to Epstein Island, by the way, because it's both Republicans and Democrats that were there. So he saw it as Trump was a bully. Trump was just attacking Biden, and just how they spin it, bro. They
yeah,
can't
yeah,
see,
yeah.
they can't see the forest for the trees. I mean, my stepdad still ardently believes that Trump is a Putin Russia asset, and that he has sold us out, and that he's letting Russia just take Ukraine. And I'm just like, okay, Dad, sure thing, buddy. They did just sign that minerals deal. China is backing off all their tariffs now. Like we have brought in like almost $1 trillion already in tariffs. I mean,
Yeah, I do think that I think this has been a pretty big design of the theys and the thems, the ominous they, right? The they at the top, that they have pitted society against you. They've split us up onto the left and the right, and they're
mm-hmm.
doing a really, really good job about keeping us from meeting in the middle anywhere, because I do believe that in the heart of hearts of most people, I think that we do want what we think is good. We don't want to hurt people for the most part. We would like people to live long, prosperous lives. But then you start to collide with your worldviews, and then all of a sudden, all of that falls away. It doesn't even fucking matter anymore. And now the only thing that matters is that I want to kill babies, you know. I want to build a wall. We want to tax the rich. We want to, like it's just the Gulf of America. Like all these things start to arise, and really we're just left in the collateral damage of the distraction that's
Well, I
keeping
mean,
us apart.
you know why they renamed it the Gulf of America, right? Do you know why he did that?
Well, I didn't want to get too much into it, but I kind of did
So
somewhat. I mean, we
here's the
bought it.
here's the real simple explanation, and we can move on from it, just so that people know the truth.
Yeah, sure.
Biden administration permanently blocked any drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, so you had to retitle it.
So that ninja got in there and renamed it the Gulf of America so we could get back to drill baby
Loopholed
drill.
it. Yeah, loopholed it. That's pretty smart. Which I didn't know that. That's pretty smart. If that's legit, which
Well,
I
bro,
believe it.
I wouldn't be on here spitting this shit to
Yeah,
you
I
if
know.
I mean,
I believe it. I
yeah.
believe it. I'm just saying, like that's such a that's legit.
It,
What a loophole exploit. And
yeah.
if anybody is to know how to fucking get through loopholes, that dude knows how, man. Because they throw that bankruptcy shit. It's like, do you not fucking get it? Do you not know why he went bank? He didn't have to pay that money back. He just made that was all free. I
Well,
think that
here's
was dirty,
my
underhanded bullshit, backhand fuckery, but super slimy smart, dude, as a businessman.
well, here's the thing. My stepdad loves to throw that one on me that Trump's a fucking idiot, man. He's had 6 companies go bankrupt, including a fucking casino. Dad, he's had 600 companies. 6 went bankrupt. That means that 99.9% were effective. I'll take that resume any day. The Biden crime family has about 50 LLCs that have never done anything but intake money from foreign governments.
Interesting.
Wonder who I'm voting for.
Interesting. Okay. So man, we got a pretty good coverage on life. We even got to touch on some Vigilant. I do know that there are things that I still, you know,
Well, we're gonna have to come back and do this again, bro.
that's what I was about to ask, man. I would love to, especially look as this grows, because I don't want to stop. I think that this is, I've been searching for my new path, man, on what I'm gonna do here. After my channel was canceled, I was just like, I don't fucking know what I was gonna do. I've reached out to several people and they're all down to support and do some interviews. So I think that this is going to be something that I'm going to really, really stick with and try and push out there. So as we grow, I would like to pull back some of the original people that got lesser views, some less support, bring them back when we have some higher numbers. That way I can get you some actual, support, man, because you deserve it. This whole time, and when we revisit, I would like to relink this one so that people can rewatch, because I think that this was a fantastic conversation. And I don't think that our next one will touch everything that we went through today. And so there might be context that they don't know and they might want to get to. I think that the early years of Brandon kind of throws a pretty good perspective of why the change was so necessary and accepted. When I mean change, I do mean, the car accident, dude. So yeah. So I want to thank you, man, for coming on here, dude. You're such a fucking awesome person, man. I have so much love and respect for you. If you could please again tell people where to find you throughout the next event that we got coming up, and all that stuff.
Well, first and foremost, bro, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate you, Jules, that new little bundle of joy that you got there. I keep getting some awesome videos of. Keep them coming because that warms my tiny ice cold little heart. But dude, you have been an instrumental part of this as well, Drew. You have flown into town, busted your ass with me for multiple days, and then flown right back into your life without even complaining once. So
I enjoyed it.
bro, we can't wait to get you back down here. Now I don't want you back down here anytime soon because you got way bigger fish to fry. But sooner than later, maybe by the end of the year or next year, once everything is settled back in, you guys are comfortable. Definitely got to get you back down here because it's not the same when you're not here.
We want to bring the baby,
dude. Bring her. What do you mean? Of course.
Yeah.
I got teenage daughters to babysit. Let's go.
Yeah, we definitely do. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all good. So next event's coming up, man. I got nothing in May, but then June is going to be crazy. June 7th, we're in Fort Myers. We're down there for Combat Quest 41. We've got Dante Friga defending his title. I've gotten some messages while we are on the phone here. I'm waiting for confirmation. I believe we have Malcolm Wallace going to do a boxing title fight.
Oh,
against another undefeated fighter. So working on some really big fights for that show.
Okay.
And then the very next weekend, the 14th, we're back in Clearwater at the OCC Roadhouse for our third event there. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the events that we've done there so far, but if you get the chance, February or the one that just passed, April 19th, you got to watch it, bro. The walkouts are amazing. We have put so much into that to making sure that these fighters get the recognition that they deserve. That's really your 30 seconds of fame is that walkout. And so we have accentuated that so much. I went ahead and paid the extra money, brought a programmer in so that now the big screen behind the guys plays the pay-per-view live there for the live audience. So we've really, really stepped it up. And June 14th, we'll be there. Then in July, I'm going to be the matchmaker for another organization, American Fight Club, and they're doing a show up in Ocala. And that's going to be a big, we're going to have the military there. You know what I mean? The flag salute at the beginning. We're going to make sure that it's a very pro-American event.
That sounds awesome. And I wanted Dude, every event, man, I hate missing it. I look and I'm so peanut butter and jelly, dude. I'm like, dude, I just want to be there, man, you know. And of
Yes,
course, Justin's wanting to make it known that he's the one that films the walkouts, just if anybody wants to know, you know.
absolutely.
And he
Justin
does such a
Sims.
yeah, and he does such a good job not being in the way of the fighters and getting stepped on. Because no joke though, that it hey, when he's working and he's getting down there and he's filming them, dude, get the fuck out of his way.
Well, but it's not just that. Justin doesn't just do the camera. Justin does the camera, and then when
Oh,
the camera portion's over,
he's
he
running
runs back,
camera.
handles the production side of things
Yeah,
with Sean, and then when he has to, jumps back on the camera, runs
right.
back over. I mean, that boy, I wouldn't even imagine how many steps. Him and Jason Dansby, my buddy that does the lighting and the sound. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
which one of them does more steps in a day, but it's they're both there. They're first guys in with me. They're usually there first thing in the morning, and then they're with me when we're closing out, putting the cage back in the trailer at the end of the night. So
Yeah, Justin tried to tell me one time that he thinks I might do more steps than him. I mean, you did. I think that particular night though, you had me running around quite a bit. We were throwing through some shit, dude. It was at the Bernie, one of the Bernie Davis ones, but yeah, I still though, man. I watched that dude. There's no fucking way I could do more steps than him, man. That guy is all over the fucking place,
yep.
all over.
And if you ever get a chance, he's got really badass comics that he buys and sells and trades. Sims comic
Absolutely.
books.
Yeah, when the algorithm pushes when he sets up an event, man, I usually repost it, I share it. But yeah, if anybody coming across this, um, damn, is it Justin Sim? Is that what it is? Also on Instagram? What is
Yeah,
it?
Sims comic guy.
Yeah, Sims comic guy. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, if you guys anybody's into comics like that, you know, check him out on Instagram. He throws up some pretty awesome ones, you know.
And you know who you need to interview next? Pablo.
Yeah, I thought,
That
man,
would
I
be a
did think about.
phenomenal interview. Pablo and then do Punchline too. That's another one.
So
Yeah.
I already talked to him. He's like, he told me, yeah, whenever I'm ready. I I thought about that. I did think about Pablo. I kind of, dude, and you know, I want to talk about maybe stuff he might not want to talk about, though. You know, I'm kind of wanting to figure out how I'm going to structure that interview. I really would like to talk about. Well, I think it was the Battle of Fallujah was what he was in. Is that what it was?
It I don't remember if it was exactly full. It was one of the major
Or the
cities.
Gaul, the Gore. Oh fuck! I had I had it before, but yeah, dude, that
It
I
was a
would.
it was a city that he basically led a
Yeah, not
battalion on
food.
a 3 day siege of an Iraqi city.
Yeah,
So
why can't that wasn't? I don't think it was Fallujah. I don't know why I thought that. I think that's
I
a
mean,
movie.
Fallujah is just the most prominent one that everybody, anybody that has any knowledge of that, the first thing you think of is Fallujah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That was the most famous. But yeah, dude, that dude's a severe badass.
he is one of the most cool, chill, gentle people that you would ever meet. Yet you just, if you know him, you know like that dude will, he could end your life, man, in a heartbeat, and probably think nothing of it, you know. But again, that's where, you know, the training starts pulling people back from the actual action of it. You know, you have the ability, you start developing the ability and the knowledge to do it, uh, and even the not the want, but the I guess ability still falls under that, but you have it all of a sudden you don't want to anymore. Like once, you know, back in the streets before you were trained, man, you wanted to beat everybody's ass, and then all of a sudden you start getting trained. It's like, no, now I kind of just don't really want to get into that, you know. And if I do, I want somebody to be on my level. I'm not saying street fighters aren't fucking skilled at fighting because that's where I learned all my fighting. And I think that once I started getting to technical fighting, my street ability really fucking helped me in that, you know. But yeah, I think that once people start really getting into the training side of it, for the most part, it pulls you back from wanting to do that exact thing. You only want to do it when the time is right. And yeah, I think that like you see that he's just there's so much light in him still, you know, and you would think that the things that he's gone through would dim, a person damn near extinguish them. And that dude's one of the most positive people I've ever fucking met in my life. And he's he's just a good man. Yeah, and the Cage Queen. Yeah, I might.
Yeah. I figured that was going to be my next suggestion. That would be a good one too, because she's been through a lot in her life, and she stays positive, works hard.
She
Works hard to
does,
raise
dude.
her son.
Yeah, she does, dude.
And bro, I was not ready at noon, but I'm ready now.
Yeah, at noon. That was so fucking long ago. 2 hours.
Well, bro, that was a very very quality 2 hours. I appreciate you letting me get
Thank
all
you.
this information out.
I
I hope
appreciate you.
I can only hope and pray that at least one person was positively affected by this, and that they can go then and positively affect somebody, and it can continue to grow like a tree. That's really what has become one of my three purposes in life, bro. That's all I really have to hang on to. I want to positively affect and motivate people. I want to guide my daughters the best I can, my friends' kids, guide children as best I can. And then I want to help elevate as many athletes to the highest level from Vigilant that I possibly can. And as you know, I don't make any money doing this. I don't
I
make
do.
I don't make any money doing
You
this.
sacrifice everything for everybody first, which I usually, I tell you all the time, man, to put me on. I don't even want anything from it, dude. I just want to be a part of it. Like I see what you do, and I think one day eventually it'll net positive in the bank account for you one day. But yeah, you're very much so willing to put yourself out to make sure others get up. You put yourself down to push others up. And I do think that that might not be the smartest way to run a business sometimes, but I do think that it's the smartest way to run a movement. I do think that it is a successful way to do that. So, if the goal is to help others and to inspire others, I think that you're very much so on the right path. If it's to make money in the short term, I don't think. Maybe money in the long term, yeah, I do. I do only on the way that I think eventually people, you have to live too. So and the
Well,
work is hard.
I
It
work a
takes a
job.
lot.
I work a
What's that?
job. I grind.
Yeah. Oh, signal's going out.
Cole interrupted us this entire time. I can't believe that we got two
Oh,
full
that was a
hours.
call. Okay.
I can't believe that. But you know, I've always had a strong work ethic, whether it's legitimate or illegitimate. Always had a strong work ethic, so I'm not afraid to put in work. And if I got to keep working, I got to keep working. But my goal is to be done by the time I'm 50. I'm 45. By the time I hit 50, I want to be able to chill. So I think if I can keep my foot on the gas as harder than I've been doing it for the next 4 to 5 years, I'm gonna get there.
Dude, what would that even look like? Brandon working harder than he already does.
I'll find a way. I'll find a way. Hey, Brody, listen. I don't want to make it too abrupt of an ending, but Brandon got to go.
You're good, dude. All right, again, appreciate you coming on here, man. We'll
And that
set
and
up
that was a
another.
cigar. That was a cigar, by the way, everybody, just for entertainment purposes only. Just a
Right,
cigar.
right. Absolutely. And well, I was gonna say, doesn't matter. Yeah. Just a cigar, guys. Calm down. All right. Anyway, we will. I'll talk to you sometime. Here next day or so or whatever. But someday in the future, man, we're gonna set up another interview, man. So thank you, dude. Again, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate you. Everybody, go check him out. Follow Vigilant MMA on hopefully all platforms. Soon we're gonna have a
Platforms. That's
TikTok.
right.
So all
Yes.
right, that's what's up, man. Uh hit the like, hit the subscribe, follow, do all the good things. Come see the shows. Leave a comment, tell your people. All right. Thanks again, Brandon, and I'll talk to you later, man.
Stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant. Guys, that was awesome. I don't see how you can't look at that man and how can you look at him and not see anything other than just the definition, the epitome of what a man should be, right? Like that dude is just awesome. He's an incredible human being, and thank him for being in my life. Everybody else, again, thank you for being here. See you later.